Remy, what was that sound?
Hi, Celeste. Hi, Shifani. Welcome.
Hi.
I'm so happy and surprised to see you guys. I had a prediction that I was going to be just Ben and I, and Ben is not here yet. So I'm very happy to see you both. I mean, I hear you laughing, Shifani. I see a picture of you, but still, it's connecting to me to you. And hi, Celeste.
Hi, Celeste.
Hello.
Is it the first time you two meet?
Yeah, this is the first time we're in a call, but we were in a group.
Oh, okay. All right. So I was thinking of as a topic today, which is what we have energy for and fun. And so what we have energy for can include making space for what we feel, whether it is depression, anger, joy, boredom, enthusiasm, whatever we have energy for. And fun. I hear a lot of sounds from you, Celeste. I think I don't know if there's some camera French sounds.
I think the sounds are coming from you.
I'm gonna mute a second and you tell me if you hear it still, Shifani.
Oh, I think it's from Celeste accidentally. I don't know what it might be.
Mute and see.
Yeah, it went silent.
Yeah.
So, well, now we can't hear you.
I'm going to dial back in because there's no noise here with me. So it's coming from the cyberspace. I'll dial back.
Okay. Oh, but it's coming. See you in a bit, Celeste. I suggest we wait. We'll do a moment of grounding. Hi, Ben.
Hi.
Celeste had an audio issue, so she's just gonna come back. We have Shifani here and you. So I suggest we wait for a minute for Celeste to come back and use this time for grounding ourselves just silently. Hey Celeste, it's cool. Now we only have the road sounds from
Yay.
Okay, guys. So Ben, as I said, I suggest as a topic that today we explore what we have energy for, the topic of what we have energy for, and whatever it is, and fun. You got it. So is there something you guys need to say or do to help you be more present here? I know for myself, I need to go get a glass of water and put some lemon in it. That's something I'd like to do. So I'm gonna do that. And as I'm doing that, I can listen to whatever you want to say to support you being here, if anything.
Shifani, I'd like to be able to see you.
I might get on video in a little bit. I'm just feeding my cats.
Okay.
Noticing in this moment that one of my goals in life, really, to try to stay vital and increase my lifespan and increase whatever, is to stay connected to younger people in the world. And I feel like a success right now because I'm on this call with 4 people younger than me. Yay! I'm a success in staying connected to younger people.
Yay!
Yay!
I don't feel like celebrating that.
I'm celebrating your joy, Celeste, and whatever the content and the condition makes you feel joy and celebrating. Welcome to you, Ben. With where you are.
Yeah.
I noticed that I need to pee soon, so it helps me be present saying it.
I noticed that accomplishing goals leaves me with an empty feeling inside.
I'm very interested in that.
They never turn out to be what I hoped they'd be. I am never satisfied by accomplishing goals.
I have energy to ask you, Ben, if you'd be wanting to be more explicit about something you experienced where you had that kind of conclusion of thinking about accomplishing goals.
Well, I get it all the time at work. Like, I'll have a big project and I'll go into it and I'll not know what I'm doing, and then I'll go into it and I'll slowly master all of it. I'll master all of it and then walk out the other side with everything being fixed and understanding it all. And I've learned to appreciate the challenge of solving the problems. But before I was looking for some kind of satisfaction beyond that, and I kept getting frustrated because it was never there.
Can I reflect you, Ben?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that in the past, you expected that when you accomplished a huge goal that took a lot of effort and time, that you would feel something really good inside from accomplishing the goal. But instead it felt just more like walking out the door, and you have moved towards feeling more appreciation for the challenge and the learning that's happening during the project.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I have energy to check my understanding. Ben, is you saying that you have more fun in facing the challenge, and when you overcame it, you felt some kind of empty feeling and not much satisfaction after it's done. Did I get you?
Yeah.
I'm noticing in this moment that the word done, means something kind of is over.
Yeah, it connects me with the energy of grief. So maybe the emptiness is some kind of a grieving experience we maybe all have, and maybe we don't next.
I'm wondering what Shifani thinks.
Glad to see you, Shifani. I'm glad you turned on your video. What do you have energy for, Shifani?
I have energy to be here, and I'm very happy that I'm here and I'm with all of you. And I like Celeste's point that what does done mean? When are you done, and how do you process the end of solving problems? I think that's an interesting open-ended thing that I haven't made conclusions about, but I think it's an interesting line of thought.
I want to celebrate us all being here, and just kind of, I want to kind of make explicit that there is some amount of suspension. We all spoken, and we don't know what we're going to do next. And I just love that space, and I want to breathe into it. The floor is open.
So I really do feel energy to explore this idea of, you know, completing things that we wanted and how it feels before we've completed them and how it feels after and during, and what it means to be finished with something. Because I notice for me, when it happens, I have to really purposefully say, hey, you know, you've had this goal for 10 years and now it has happened. Could you please spend 7 seconds so that your amygdala can process that, you know, you have this success? It's a struggle for me to really recognize. I mean, like Ben says, it doesn't come naturally, really, sometimes.
Yeah, I can relate to that, Celeste. I can relate to the experience of accomplishing a goal and almost sort of like not noticing you've accomplished it, because whatever the goal is, all the accoutrements of the goal are still there, and all of the residue of your work is still there, and all of the activities you're engaging in are still there. It's just that you finished them now.
It almost feels like once you're done with something, it doesn't matter anymore. It's done. It might matter to other people now, but it's not yours anymore.
I'm curious if what now we just accomplished something and we are not aware of it.
How about we got joining done in a great big joining game, because we can all see this issue in our lives. Maybe we should take a strategy is coming to me. Maybe we should take an example from somebody's life, a specific example, and process it. I think specific examples might help us. Somebody completed a project, and then how did they feel? What was the grieving and mourning like? I don't know. Maybe somebody could bring an example.
Something came up to my mind, but I want to make space for every members of the group to speak up. So I'm going to stay silent for now. Or maybe I just say it like a brainstorming popcorn style, just not going into much details, but just acknowledging that I have a goal, which was to do a video live on Facebook every day for a year. And I did it. And it felt like it was not enough. So I chose to set another goal, which was 1,111 videos in 1,111 days. That's what came up to my mind. That's all. Back to you.
I love that example. What do you think, Shifani?
Yeah, I think that's a relatable example. I was thinking about, I like this question of into and then processing that you've accomplished it or it's over. I think that's a really beautiful thought. And for me, it brought up something that I hadn't acknowledged, that I took on a period to try to understand someone who was very difficult to understand. And then I got out of that having understood a lot about this person, and I didn't really process it. And I was feeling kind of some kind of grieving, the grieving that it's over. But I think there might be something I'm missing, that celebration that I did it, what I set out to do. And then I'm wondering why I didn't, why is it not normal for me to pause and take that in?
Would you say that again? I couldn't hear you.
I said, then I'm wondering why is it that I didn't pause, or it doesn't feel normal for me to pause and take that in.
Thank you.
I mean, I want to have a party for the fact that Remy did a Facebook Live for a whole entire year, every single day. It's just stunning. And, you know, also you putting that effort in to find out and understand that difficult person, and Ben's work projects also. I don't know, they're just, I want to have a party in a way for each one, but we don't have the parties.
Oh, I think we're having the party right now.
I have a difference. Is the group open to a difference?
I am very open to a difference. Are you guys? Shifani?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are.
Well, I've kind of given up on wanting to celebrate goals, because, and even like setting goals in a certain kind of way, because I'm kind of aware that nothing external is going to bring me internal satisfaction. So no matter what dream I have, that's never going to be the reality that comes to pass. That exists in my imagination. The reality will always be another form of reality, not a form of fantasy. And so no matter what I set out to do, I'm still going to be met with more reality. And so I guess I'm just accepting that I exist and live in reality, not fantasy. And any goals I set for myself aren't going to bring about a fantasy world. They're going to bring about a reality world.
I wasn't really able to make meaning of your words, Ben. I'm guessing, I have in mind that I'm the only one in this group who didn't get what you said.
Let me see if I can reflect it. What Ben is saying is that he's sort of given up on his goals because he realized that reaching goals doesn't make him happy or doesn't get him to a place that he wants to be. He's just here in the same old world after he reaches the goal. So that he's thinking it's something more internal to him about, you know, feeling better or being happy, and that goals are not helpful in improving his life. Like we might believe that once we reach a certain goal, things will be different, but they kind of never are. How am I doing, Ben?
Yeah, the main thing is about fantasy, that goals are dreamed up in the imagination, so that's the realm of fantasy. But what comes to pass is never fantasy, it's only ever reality.
I missed that bit. Would you reflect that, Celeste?
What he's saying is the most important part of his thing is that goals are dreamed up as a fantasy in our mind. When the goal actually comes to pass, it's not a fantasy. It's not Disneyland. It's not Alice in Wonderland. It's not the Wizard of Oz. It's just more reality. It's not a fantasy world.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Did you get that, Remy?
I'm not sure. I think I hear the words, but I'm not sure I'm getting something for some. I feel some resistance to. I think I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling depressed, and I think I have energy for saying that I would like to connect on the level of feelings. I'm wondering how you feel, Ben. And I think I have maybe, I don't know if it's a goal, but I have this fantasy that I would feel more connected to you if you share your feelings. Maybe not. I don't know. Would you like to say what you heard me say, Ben?
You said that you like to hear what the members of the group are feeling, and you might feel more you want to feel more connected to us, and you might feel more connected to us if we shared what we were feeling.
I think my point is that hearing you talking, Ben, I start to feel some kind of depression and anxiety raising, and I had a mind read that you were feeling quite depressed, and I think I'd like to check that a bit later. But and I'm thinking that maybe this fear of feeling some kind of a heavy feeling was in the way of me really kind of processing mentally what you were saying and speaking. That's my point.
Yeah, well, I don't feel depressed at all. It's quite a liberating realization because I don't have to get all caught up in dreaming and fantasizing and goal setting anymore. with the reality as it is.
Oh, you feel some relief.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad. I'm relieved too.
I mean, I'm just so excited about this idea. I never thought about it before, but setting a goal really is a fantasy. And I never really thought about that before. And when it happens, it's true. It's never like the fantasy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even better.
Maybe, yeah. But it's always rooted in the real world and not, I don't know.
Did you say
curious.
it's always rude in the real world?
It's rooted in the real world.
Oh, it's rooted. It's always rooted in the real world.
My example, I mentored these two young girls, blah, blah. My friend died and this was her grandkids. And my goal was for them to get to be 19 without becoming pregnant. And I had that goal since they were little girls, like 5 years old. And they both reached 19 and neither one had gotten pregnant. And it was a huge achievement for me because I had that goal for like 15 years. But neither one of them went to college, and you know, one of them just smokes pot all the time. I mean, there are other issues, you know, but they don't have babies. So I achieved my goal and I really tried to recognize that.
How does it feel trying?
I can't even imagine, you know, that their life would be worse if they did have a baby before they were 19, or I don't know. I mean, did I really have anything to do with reaching that goal? I mean, I spent time with them. I talked to them. I tried, but I don't know how much influence I really had, blah, blah. It's just life goes on.
What's that got to do with goals being rooted in fantasy and reality being rooted in reality?
It's the same thing, because when those girls passed 19, you know, they still had problems.
Wondering if Shifani, you want to say something to Celeste or to all of us?
I'm a little bit confused about the tail end of the thought.
The what?
The last bit of the thought, which is that when you're done with the goal, you return to reality. And I'm a little confused with the sentiment of that, because I'm wondering, even in reality, isn't there space that you're giving to process that the goal that you set in a fantasy has been accomplished, that it's been a success. So then why is there a sentiment of like kind of like dismissal that I'm sensing? Oh, but we're back to reality, whatever. Like, is it discounting that? Or is it just that we're focusing on the fact that reality is larger and more problematic than our small goals?
I'm wondering if you could talk about that within your context of the difficult person you tried to understand. Like, when you decided that you were done trying to understand them and that you had done it, or you weren't going to pursue it anymore and you accomplished a lot, I don't know, what was that like?
Yeah, it's convoluted in my mind, like this idea of dividing reality and fantasy in the end, that I think at the end.
To follow you, I need
Yeah.
help. Convoluting in your mind, what does it mean, convoluting?
Like kind of vague and abstract, like it's not very clear in my mind. Because at the end of it, I actually entered another fantasy where I thought, it was kind of an illusion state where I thought that I've lost something, or it's the end of something. And then, so that's why it's a little convoluted, where I'm like, which part is reality and which part is fantasy? Because I feel like they're all kind of fantasy. One fantasy is that, yes, I've accomplished this and that's great, let's celebrate it. And another fantasy is that it didn't change anything, reality goes on. But both are like illusion states of mind. I could switch between different ways of looking at it. So that's what I mean, that it's a bit vague for me. How do you determine, okay, now I've left fantasy and I'm in reality, because it's all through the filter of your mind anyway, which is not always reliable.
I mean, Ben, I'm wondering if you would be willing to reflect what Shifani just said.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is that so much of our experience is fantasy that it's difficult to distinguish what's reality from what's fantasy. And so making this distinction between reality and fantasy sounds a bit vague to Shifani and sort of doesn't make sense, because any state you go through can be, it's temporary. So none has any more.
So what?
None is temporary, so none has any more significant bearing on reality. None has more significant representation of reality than any other.
Yeah.
I feel like, as I'm listening to you, I feel like really, in my whole life, I'm just dancing on that line all the time, reality and fantasy. And that like almost everything I do kind of has both.
I'm thinking it seems that I'm telling myself that we have energy for discussing around trying to distinguish what reality from fantasy, as if, yeah, there's something alive and we have energy for it, it seems. I mean, I'm seeing you having energy for that. I'm not sure I have the energy for that myself. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Back to the group.
I mean, Remy, let's take your example of needing to pee. Like, in a way, I guess, if you're going to stand up and walk over to the toilet where you're going to pee, for example, like as you're standing up and walking, you sort of, your fantasy is that you're going to get to the bathroom and be able to pee. I mean, you aren't there yet, but you're imagining that, and that's your goal. And then once you get there and you take the action, you know, that goal is achieved and you go on to the next thing. I mean, I'm just thinking about every time I stand up to walk in the kitchen, I have this fantasy that I'm going to be able to get a glass of water or something. The goal and fantasy thing. I don't know. This is so interesting.
Now you get, yeah, you got me. Now I'm interested in that in this topic and the example you use. So I guess I have energy to better understanding what you have energy for, exploring around that, Celeste, and all of you guys. Can I reflect you, Celeste? Okay, so I heard that you would like to use the example of me saying I need to pee, I want to pee. And you're interested in really using that example as something that really kind of makes it clear that we can see what the difference between the fantasy of going to pee and actually doing it. Did I get you in some way?
I'm not really having the goal of distinguishing between reality and fantasy. I guess I was just sort of saying how we're constructing it. I don't know that it's going to be possible to distinguish. But I'm open to listening to Shifani or Ben's ideas of figuring out what's fantasy and what's reality. I think about Thich Nhat Hanh and how he's like, and he's staying in the present moment and not being drawn by goals or fantasies of, I'm going to be able to get a drink of water when I get to the end of this walk. I mean, that's what he's doing.
Okay, I have energy to say that to help me be more present, what I'm going to do now is to actually go to pee.
Are you taking us with you, Remy?
Yes. I probably will turn off the sound, but I don't know why. I might.
I think that I like the idea of reality and fantasy being indistinguishable. And I think that it's really mixed up. And I think that thinking that we can distinguish reality clearly is itself an illusion, I think.
What are you hearing, Ben?
I'm hearing that Shifani says it's impossible to distinguish fantasy from reality, and the idea that you can is an illusion in itself.
Oh, no, I'm thinking about what you originally said, in that you have sort of given up establishing goals and trying to achieve them because the goals are really just a fantasy that can never come true, because when you get there, it's always just reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose not all goals are like that, but like dreams, kind of like having dreams for your life is like that.
I have energy to say that I'm getting a bit lost in the conversation right now. So I'd like.
Remy, I want to know, how do you feel now that you've accomplished your goal and you're done with it?
Feel relieved, and something has been taken out of my mind. I don't need to worry about it. I feel some relief in my body, and I'm satisfied that I chose to take action. And I can say that for me, there's a clear difference between thinking about going to pee and actually peeing. It's very clear for me in that example. But I like the idea of thinking that having a fantasy is reality, is part of reality. I mean, you know, someone dreams of something, it is happening. Something wants to, when I was wanting to go to pee was reality. I was where I was wanting to go to pee. And still, I see a difference between thinking about going to pee and actually peeing. And I don't know how me bringing that meet what guys is what's alive in you guys, and what what's important to you, what you would like to bring now. I'm curious. I'd like to know where there is some kind of place where we meet and place where we differ. And yeah, I'm curious, but I don't know what's going to happen now. And so I have a fantasy of getting more connected and more clear about what you guys want to say, which is different from what's going to happen.
I think you got it, Remy. Wait, I'm having fun, which was the second part of your thing, Remy. I notice in this moment, I am having fun, like almost like playing with these ideas and hearing you play with the ideas. I'm having fun.
I want to say more about fantasy versus reality. My experience of life is that I tend to go on along a level of not really being deeply in touch with reality. And every now and then I'll dip below the surface and I'll have a experience where I feel like I am much more deeply in touch with reality. So I kind of feel like, yes, you can be in touch with reality more or less.
Shifani, are you willing to reflect that?
Yeah, Ben, you said that you are able to distinguish between reality and fantasy. You are able to, what else did you say? I think I missed the other part, the first part.
I said that generally my life is going along a surface level, and every now and then it dips down into an experience of being much more connected with reality. So that's the basis on which I say it's possible to distinguish reality from fantasy.
You're able to live life, and then every now and then you feel very connected to your reality, and so you feel conviction that you can distinguish reality and really be in touch with it compared to fantasy.
Yeah, it seems like what you're saying, that all states are equally deluded, is advocating pure subjectivity, which I don't think is
What do you mean by you?
Shifani, which I don't think is honoring the fact that there are certain truths, like certain principles of reality, which are true regardless of what mental state you're in.
You
Okay,
feel
so yeah.
I'm feeling confused.
Shall I try to reflect, Ben?
Yeah.
Celeste, did you want to jump in or do you mind?
No, I was just going to use the example of gravity. Like we could imagine all day long that we're floating or flying or whatever, but the truth is that our bodies are subject to gravity. So when Ben was talking, it reminded me of that example.
So yeah, you were saying that my concept that all states of mind are kind of an illusion. It's discounting certain principles of reality, like gravity, for example.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. It's an abstract concept. And I can join with Remy in feeling a little floaty right now. There's like floating in some concepts. Not really sure which way we're going. And so far my gathering is we've just been discussing the concepts of reality and fantasy. And I'm also curious about how we are feeling while we're doing that.
I'm also curious what you have energy for, Shifani, and where you want to go yourself.
Yeah, I think I think I came in here a little bit nervous. Because there are so many unknowns. And I haven't found proper footing yet, I think. I have a fantasy of finding stable footing in a group call. And I have energy to listen and see what happens.
I have energy to interject one comment, which is from the standpoint of you being you, having your life experience so far, is there something that you have experienced that helps you to get some kind of footing, and that might be useful to think about right here, right now, to find what you want?
I find that I am relying on the things that happen here and the things that people say or do to kind of carve out a space for me to stand. I find that my brain is doing that. Yeah, that's weird.
You break up a bit, so I couldn't hear clearly your last sentence. If you want to say it again, I'd love that. Or so someone else wants to reflect, or whatever.
She said her brain is carving out a place for her to stand.
I said that my brain is kind of relying on the events of this call or the things that other people say or do, relying on those things to carve out a space for me to stand.
Can I reflect that?
Yeah.
So one thing you see your mind does is to relying on what is happening in this group, in this conversation with all of us, especially other people than you, as a way to carving out, through all that is being said or done, a place for yourself to be.
Yes.
Was there more you wanted to say, Shifani?
No.
Earlier, I felt a little bit dropped. I had fun when Celeste said she had fun. I had fun when Celeste said, you got it to me. And then something happened and I felt a little bit left out for some reasons. I think I'd like to try to capture what was important for me to say and where I am in terms of understanding what we've been talking about. I think I'm thinking of this idea of reality. I'm feeling shaky right now. I think my mind is telling myself stories that speaks about past experiences that were either dangerous or looked dangerous. I'm experiencing some kind of fear right now. Fear of rejection. My breathing is hollow. I am stressed out. And I have energy to make space for that. And observing it. And the observing part of me is feeling calm and curious. So I think what I'm doing is I'm making space to ground myself more fully. So I'm in saying that I want to feel more. We want to bring. I have energy to acknowledge that I'm curious about what's happening in my body. You know, in the connection between my body and the ground. We talked about gravity. I want to feel the gravity now. I want to give myself permission to see how gravity is happening in me. I'm experiencing gravity right now. Is that okay, guys, that I do that, or is there something else you'd like to do?
Yeah, there's something else I'd like to do.
Do you want to name what is it you want to do?
I want to talk about my experience of you in this call.
I'm
That's
checking.
a pretty big. That's a pretty big difference. That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I'm checking if I am ready for that difference. I think not yet, but I'm curious. I'm wondering what it would take for me to be open to hear your difference, Ben. I think I'd like to finish up what I'm trying to say. Are you open for me to do that, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, are you ready as well? Open to me doing that? Shifani and Celeste? No objection? Okay. I talked about me going to pee as a difference from actually doing it. And we talked about state of mind and reality. And I guess I'm a little bit confused around all those notions. I'm not sure what is it we're saying and what is it we are looking for and what is it. So there's a part of me that feels a little bit bored and wants to have a better, greater or more stable and solid sense of what is it I'm looking for, what is it we're looking for. And I think that me saying that is some kind of a fantasy. It's some kind of thinking that what is happening is not as it should be.
Well, it sounds like you're joining Shifani. That sounds very similar to what she said about kind of not knowing what's going on or not being able to get her bearings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I'd like to join even more by saying, what is it I'm doing and what is it I know in my experience that helps me kind of getting more clear. What is it I want to do? What is it I'm understanding you guys want to do, where you are. Listening to my breathing helps. Making space for how I feel in my body and asking myself regularly, what is it I have energy for right now, and listening to what comes up is something that usually works for me. So I'm going to do that and check if I have energy to listen to Ben after that.
Well, maybe somebody should reflect you first, Remy. You've been talking for a little while. It's a lot.
Do you like to do that, Ben?
Yeah, okay. So what you're saying is that you feel a bit disengaged and a bit bored by the conversation, and you have a fantasy that things should be different than the way they are, and you really want to be grounded in the conversation, and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, like you can't get your bearings, and breathing helps with that.
I guess what I was saying was you're close, but there's the element of really wanting clarity around what is it I want to engage my energy into, and having a better sense of what you guys want to engage your energy into. That was part of what is it I was looking for.
Okay, so you want clarity on what you want to engage your energy into and what we want to engage our energy into.
Yes, and breathing helps. Yeah, you got me enough. Thank you. And I am open to a difference if you still want to bring in. I don't know about the other guys.
Okay, yeah, I still have a difference. So is everyone else open to that?
Yeah.
I feel a little bit scared about it because even though maybe this isn't meeting the rest of y'all's needs, this conversation is the freaking dream of my life.
Mm-hmm. So maybe you're not ready, Celeste, and you're entitled to feel whatever you feel. So you do just you saying that for me, I hear you're not open yet. So I want you to take your time to really feel, even before you say yes or no, I'm ready.
I don't want to lie, but I want to be ready, but I'm not. I'm scared about what might happen, if we crack this egg open. I would like to hear Shifani say 1 or 2 sentences. Maybe that would help me get ready. I don't know what about, just whatever is up for her.
I would like to give also another option, Celeste, to you. If I heard Celeste, Shifani, it seemed you were willing to say something, or I'm really open to you saying something. But also, Celeste, if you want to bring something, if you want to say more about what's like a dream of yours happening.
Okay, well, maybe if I did say this one thing I've been holding, maybe it would help, is that, maybe our lives aren't exactly the same. And when Ben describes his life of sort of like going along more in an illusory fantasy world and then dipping down into reality, that's his experience that helps him know what reality is. And when I heard that, I realized that I think maybe I'm wrong, but maybe my life floats a little bit closer to reality. And so that I notice it more when I'm moving up into a fantasy world. I feel it often when I start fantasizing about suicide and about my brain oozing out of my head and, things like that.
I'm struggling to follow you, Celeste. I want to be honest.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm saying is that I have a feeling that my life rides a little bit closer to reality. And so I'm like Ben, except that I more notice it when I dip into fantasy. I know we all have fantasy. Like I was saying, I fantasize that I'm going to go pee and I'm going to get to the toilet. But maybe I was thinking when Ben said that I live a little bit closer to reality. So it's more noticeable to me when I dip into fantasy. I just,
Celeste,
okay.
I want to say that I'm completely lost, and so I'm relying on the group to hold with care whatever is happening right now.
Shall I try to reflect you, Celeste?
Yeah, I don't feel like I deserve the attention, but okay.
Okay, so you said that, just so I can see if I understand, you say that you were kind of holding this thought and you think that it might help to speak about it, and you feel that you're kind of like the inverse of Ben, but similar in that you are more living your life hooked to reality, and then you dip down sometimes to get in touch with fantasy. Is that
That's
what you were
close.
saying?
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
The word down, I use the word dip because that's what Ben used, but it doesn't feel like dipping down. It feels more like the fantasy world does feel more like up to me. That's all. I'm done. That's good enough.
I have an energy to acknowledge that I know Ben wanted to bring a difference, and I also guessing that Shifani, you want to share something, and I'd love to hear from you and from Ben too. So however you want to go, maybe you can negotiate if you want both to speak.
I'd like to just bring attention maybe to this nervousness that I think is happening about the difference that Ben is going to bring in about his feelings for how he's experiencing Remy in the call.
He may bring it. It's a prediction. He might not. He might choose not to actually.
Yeah. And I think I'm also nervous but open, but also like nervous. But I think I often do this, and I notice now that I often put aside my nervousness because I'm eager to hold space for people to speak when they want to speak. And it was nice to see that. It was nice to see Remy tell Celeste, like, take a moment and check if you're actually ready.
Well, I feel ready now to go into what I see as more difficult territory and listen to Ben's difference.
Is there more you want to say, Shifani?
No, I'm back to the group.
Ben, would you like to reflect, Shifani? Maybe take on after that?
Yeah, Shifani, what I hear you say is that you're noticing this nervousness that you're feeling about my difference, and that you've observed other people express, and you just want to stay with that, and you'd usually be so so eager to accommodate somebody expressing themselves that you'd overlook that nervousness, but now you're really giving time to savor it and ask it what it's about.
Yeah, I'm just noticing the nervousness, but I am open to hearing you.
Yeah, but you are open to hearing me. Yeah, I think that's very valuable, bringing that nervousness to the forefront. It's telling me that some part of you isn't open to hearing my difference, or is concerned about hearing my difference.
Well, it's a challenge, Ben. Once we get through it to the end of the goal of hearing your difference, then it won't matter.
Mm. So I still do want to bring this difference, but I guess I'm just I kind of want to honor that unsettledness about me bringing a difference, and I don't want to force my difference on that unsettledness. I'm done.
Ben,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you're open to. I mean, can I reflect you?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard that you find it very valuable to that Shifani brings up the nervousness feeling, and you see that nervousness arising speaks about, in the context of you asking if you can bring a difference, it speaks about some part of some of us in the group, if not all of us, that are unsettled, and you would like to, you want to make sure you're not forcing expressing your difference into people's minds. And so I hear that you want to care for this part that feels unsettled.
Yeah.
I feel deeply moved and touched hearing you, Ben. And having taken the time to reflect you even more. Actually, I felt even profoundly touched when I reflected. It helped me go deeper. Before reflecting, Ben, I wanted to invite Ben to check with the group if we were ready to hear a difference. And I wanted kind of invite Ben to trust our ability to say where we are. But having reflected, Ben, I feel in touch with a certain quality of care and of sensitivity that I also want to cherish and savor and honor. And I felt like crying saying that. Phew.
Well, now I just want to demand that Ben bring his difference.
How fun you said it. You want to make space for this part of you, Celeste, that is demanding and really wants to know. Did I get you, Celeste?
Yes.
Would you like to say what you heard me say, Celeste?
you were saying that you felt like tenderness and care from Ben in the situation, and that it touched you deeply. That he really, was really concerned about the unsettledness of the group, and he wanted to hold it, like something delicate and precious, and maybe not stomp on it with his difference or something like that.
Yeah, also acknowledge that the process of reflecting him changed drastically where I ended up at.
More deep, you got more deeply into your own understanding of that when you reflected, and it was very meaningful to you.
Yeah, and I touched, thanks to that reflection and work done with Ben, a very precious sensitivity of what was present to my senses in connection with all of you. It's a bit of adding, but that's something is important for me to say. But I feel I heard enough. If you want to reflect that last bit, you're welcome, Celeste. But I'm wondering if whatever we have energy for now, you, Celeste, Shifani, or Ben, or me. I have energy for listening. Be silent.
I appreciated the work that happened between Ben saying he wants to bring in a difference and now. I feel like there was some really beautiful work in the middle. And I'm very curious to know about his difference. And I'm not so nervous now.
It's something I have energy for saying now, which is we don't know where Ben is, but I don't know if Ben knows where Ben is. Ben is maybe somewhere else, and maybe this different we're talking about is something we fantasize, but is it still real? I don't know.
Yeah, Remy, a while ago you said, Shifani said that Ben was going to bring a difference, and you said that's a mind read. You don't know if Ben's going to bring a difference. And at that point, I kind of realized that I had the choice not to bring the difference. And I kind of toyed with the idea of not bringing the difference instead of bringing it. And I kind of feel some freedom when I explore that idea. And some openness to the conversation going in a different direction than I originally intended. But also a kind of disappointment that I haven't brought my difference.
You want to check if the group is open to hear it?
Okay, is the group open to hearing my difference?
Yes.
Yes.
Shifani, what did you say?
Yes, I said yes.
Do you believe us?
Yeah, I do believe you, yeah. Okay, so when me and Celeste and Shifani were talking about fantasy versus reality, I was finding it very annoying when Remy was coming in and saying he didn't understand what we were talking about, because I felt very invested in the conversation about fantasy and reality, and I didn't want to slow down and get Remy back involved. And the process of that might involve a conversation going in a different direction. And Remy kept saying he wondered what he had energy for, and that felt like he was just changing the topic over and over again and bringing in loads of differences. So I felt quite frustrated by that, because I wanted the conversation to go down the track of exploring fantasy and reality.
Okay, if I reflect you, Ben?
Yeah.
What you're saying is that you were interested, excited, involved, motivated in moving forward with the topic of fantasy versus reality. And when Remy continued to say that he wasn't quite grasping it, you felt a slowdown that you did not enjoy. And, that picking Remy back up to include him, or, going into sort of sidelines to try to help explain it, was not your preferred thing that you wanted to do at that time. And so that was a little frustrating to you.
Yeah.
Is there more you wanted to say, Ben?
No.
I'm curious about how the group feels having heard Ben, including how Ben feels.
Well, I was just thinking, well, look, we heard the difference. It wasn't so hard or so bad after all.
I feel grateful for Ben sharing with us. For me, it lands as a mark of trust that we all kind of co-created, and I feel proud of being part of this group. You guys.
Shifani?
Yeah, it's so interesting how nervous I was. And I think that's an example of fantasy in my brain, and how swayed I am by
How what?
how swayed I become.
Swayed? What does it mean?
Swayed, like I get pulled into a thought, and then I'm in that current, and I'm really deep in it, and then it passes, and then it's like, oh, it's not so dramatic as I thought. And yes, I'm glad, I'm really happy, like with where the call is right now. And that to me, it seems like everybody, including myself, has space to be heard.
I'd like to respond to what Ben said and what it means to me. I don't know if it's time to do that or not.
you want to check if the group is open?
Are you open to me saying what I took from what Ben said?
I am.
Yeah, it's very welcome.
Yeah.
You know, I'm reminded of that African proverb, if you want to go far, go alone. Wait, it's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And that tension between moving quickly and including everyone is alive in me as I realize that, you know, there could have been a choice of leaving Remy behind in order to keep going fast and maybe even having fun or whatever. And that's a choice that a lot of groups might make. And including everyone, not just in this call, but you know, I have 7-year-olds in my life, including everyone. It does slow things down. I have to constantly stop and not just explain, but other things in order to be able to include the 7-year-olds. And I guess we're making the decision in each moment, you know, whether or not going fast is important or full inclusion is important. And it happens at work all the time. Those air traffic controllers, they make the decision right then without slowing down to include everybody in the world. And, you know, I'm just thinking about, you know, how Ben's other goal weeks ago, maybe for having a group would be that everyone would be included, and really how difficult that is because things do go slow.
Okay, Celeste, so what you're saying is you're reflecting on this question about including people in the group, and if you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go as a group. And sorry, just got a text. You're thinking that a lot of groups would make the decision to go without Remy to explore the topic more, and air traffic controllers make split decisions without consulting everyone, so that is a viable strategy in some circumstances. But you're reflecting on how I wanted my group to include everybody and how difficult that is.
Yes. How difficult it is, really. I mean, we face that difficulty today.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to, I guess when I was finding Remy annoying, that's when I wasn't particularly tuned in to where he was at. But I kind of noticed I had the choice to tune into where Remy was at and sort of take him into consideration. And when I did that, I had a very different experience from finding Remy annoying. It's like he's not heavy, he's my brother, you know?
Shifani, would you be willing to reflect that?
Yeah, Ben, you said that at the time that you felt annoyed by Remy not understanding this conversation that you were invested in, you weren't really meeting him where he was. You didn't, you weren't able to empathize with where he was. And then once you were able to feel for where he was coming from and what he was experiencing, it changed your, it changed a lot of things. It changed the way that you experienced him.
Yeah.
And I also heard, Ben, that you experienced a shift from perception between me being heavy and me being your brother.
Yeah.
well now. What a beautiful difference this has turned out to be.
And I think you also said, Ben, you asked the question, you know, you asked the group, do you know? And I heard that.
Ask them, do you know what?
I think you said, is my brother, you know? I think that's what I heard you say. Did I get you? Did Tiffany?
I just meant, are you familiar with that phrase when I said, you know?
Familiar with the phrase, is my brother?
He's not heavy.
He
He's
ain't
my brother.
heavy, he's my brother.
Oh, is it a reference of a song? Okay, that's the thing I didn't hear and I didn't know because I don't know this song. So I'm glad I checked what I heard. Okay. Do you feel heard, Ben? Is there more you want to say?
No.
Thanks, Celeste, for asking Shifani. She wanted to reflect, and Shifani, thanks for reflecting, Ben. And thank me for saying what I heard the last bit.
I mean, I'm having a great time, but I notice it's like we've been on here almost an hour and a half. I wonder how long the call goes.
7 more minutes, Celeste.
Okay.
Are you available to stay longer, or do you want to go?
Oh yeah, I'm having a great time. I just, I want it to go on forever.
I'm glad it will have an end, but I'm also having fun. Sorry, that was a bit of a difference without checking if you were ready for it, Celeste.
I'm just curious, Ben, so whenever you did decide he ain't heavy, he's my brother, and went back to try to understand and include, then how did that turn out for you? Were you going down a different set of tracks after you did that? Or were you able to get on the same set of tracks you had been enjoying? Or how did that go for you?
I just felt a kind of flexibility and easiness with the subject. And I felt open to different things happening than I had in mind.
You accepted that reality might be different than your fantasy.
Exactly.
Wow, I love the dance we've been doing. I mean, in this very moment, it's just beautiful to me. Or just Celeste.
I want to stay here forever. I sit in my chair and do my work.
I want to say
There's another fantasy.
Yeah, it is.
I looked at the clock a few minutes ago and I was alarmed to see that it was already 20 minutes past because I'm enjoying myself so much here and I don't want to go.
Well, I am gonna go, but if you want to stay, guys, you can.
Are we doing satisfactions and things like that?
I'd love that if you want to.
Any satisfactions and dissatisfactions and
I guess I want to say something, which is I'm very satisfied with two things. I want to say right now that I'm still on the topic, which is what do we have energy for? And right now I have energy to say that I'm satisfied with the fact that I gave myself so much space to intervene as I felt like doing it. It was brand new. It felt like, I don't know, I think it wasn't as flowing and easy as it was today and I was before. And I think it's also, my mind goes into saying it's due to the fact that you were here, guys. I'm so satisfied that you were all here.
I'm satisfied that everyone, it seems to me that everyone got the chance to be heard and listen to and speak and express themselves. And I'm extremely satisfied by Celeste being here. I feel like her presence is really helping me navigate the group. And I like, it's almost like it's supportive for me when she guides some of the reflections. It's helpful. So I'm satisfied that I've met her.
Yeah, I love that you guys really, like Ben and Celeste in particular, asked others to, if they wanted to reflect, and there was some kind of a teamwork. I really appreciated that a lot. So I guess I'd like to know if there's anything you would like to say that would make it smoother, easier, more fun, more honoring of where you are energetically, to help transition from where we are in this group to the bottom of the hour and the end of this time together, which will be followed by another call on Sunday and Ben hosting it, and another one next Wednesday hosted by me. You have less than a minute.
Yeah, I really enjoyed.
Thank you. Deep gratitude, Remy, to you. This has been like, I'm so happy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed everyone being here, Celeste and Shifani being here, and the kind of complexity of working in a group as opposed to working one-on-one with Remy, which is often what happens on these calls. And at the same time, I kind of missed working one-on-one with Remy a little bit because I enjoy doing that so much.
I'm glad we recorded this call. I find it as a way to include Chaim if he wants to check the conversation we just had.
When desire feels good.
And maybe Grace too. Is there any objection that we share this recording with Chaim and Grace, part of the group?
Yeah.
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Great.
I love you say Your Honor. That was so cool.
Yeah, I loved it too. I really felt honored. And fun and light. So it was like really friendly, the way it landed in me. I didn't take it seriously. So do you want to stay? Does someone wants to be host, or we just end here?
I'm okay with ending. I need to go back to work.
Yeah, it's late here, so I'm going to sleep.
Okay. Last word. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Peace.
Peace.